Hey guys, wanted to do a video to kind of help you out. Saw some people struggling with the homework yesterday. And so you had two problems. One said expand and one said condense. So this one we're going to expand. And so the first thing I want to say is, we have log base 3. And then in the argument, so this whole thing here is the argument, we have a fraction. So the fraction is made up of a numerator and a denominator. And the numerator and denominator are dividing. So if you remember, when we divide, that separates into subtraction. So we're going to separate two different logs here. We're going to say log base 3 of the numerator. So the numerator is 7x squared minus log base 3 of the denominator. So again, I subtracted because we were dividing here. And so when you have a problem like this, usually I go ahead and deal with the division first. Remember, division becomes subtraction. And so I did log base 3 of the numerator minus log base 3 of the denominator. In this case, 7x squared is the numerator, 5 is the denominator. Now we're still not done because if you look at this one, we're multiplying here. So sometimes when you're doing these expanding, you're going to have to do it piece by piece. So first I dealt with the division, and now in this log I have multiplication. So remember, multiplication becomes addition. So this would be log base 3 of 7 plus log base 3 of x squared. And then this whole thing here is just going to come down. So minus log base 3 of 5. Now we're not done, but I wanted to explain something because I saw a lot of people want to take this 2 and bring it out front. And we can't do that here because that 2 only applies to the x. We could move the 2 out front if this whole thing, so let me use a different color here. If it was like 7x all squared, so like if this was in parentheses up here, okay, then we could move the 2 up front. So we can only move the exponent up front when the exponent applies to everything in the argument. So if we look at our next line here, that is actually the case here. So our argument here is x squared, and so squared applies to everything here, and so we can actually move that up to the front. So then, instead of rewriting the whole thing, because that will take a minute, I'm going to put the 2 here, and then I'm going to erase that 2. So we just moved the 2 up to the front. So this should have been your answer. So when you have a problem like this, if there's division, I usually do that first. Sometimes that means you'll have to continue, like you'll have some multiplication that becomes addition. When you're expanding, usually the last thing you do is exponents. Okay, so let me say this again, usually, and there's exceptions, but I don't think really y'all have to worry about it. When you're expanding, if there's division, usually you do that first, and if there's exponents, you usually do that last. Okay, now with the next one, we're condensing. So notice I said here on these types of problems, usually the exponents last. Well, when you're going in the opposite direction, it's kind of the opposite. Usually the exponents are first. So here you have a 3 up front, and so we're actually going to move that up here first, so make that x to the third. So I'm going to kind of erase that, so to speak. And that 6 is going to come here and become y to the 6. So when you're condensing, usually the first thing you're going to do is move that number up front and make it an exponent. And so now we have log base 2 of x to the third plus log base 2 of y to the 6. And so remember, addition becomes multiplication. So we're going to take x to the third times y to the 6. And we're done. So hopefully this video helps. I'll post this video on the assignment for Friday, and then you should have 2 problems for you to work out.